how you implement locally with the paperwork, the business, the taxes you have, and all the community, how to implement the global concept, which is very difficult. So one suggestion was also to build more local networks, regional networks for that. And the other is, of course, how you design and launch something that is still not as popular or well known as McDonald's, a pizza restaurant, and so on. So in the suggestion is to start with the design, maybe with community in mind, but then you have 6 months, 1 year where you slowly develop it with the community and you fix the business plan and everything in the lab meanwhile. Mm-hmm. These are the two main things.
Okay.
So being small, the community, it's very important, the human relation you have with people. So it's very important that the person that is actually running the Fab Lab is able to understand people that are coming, create a community, give to people the kind of challenge or task that they like to do. So it's really like working on people and being a lot of different contexts, the possible context in which you have a Fab Lab. It's important to understand that as well. A lot of labs are starting from companies now or founded by companies. And in that case, we were talking about it before, it's important that the company understand the difference between a customer and a member of the community. So even if they help, they shouldn't be too pushy on the group, in particular at the beginning, because if you get the feeling that that place is like, let's say, fake or too oriented on it's just a marketing way to create something, you probably are not gonna get back to the same lab. And then just a couple of things. It's very important, more than once said, at the beginning it's important to create documentation and to help sharing knowledge through different groups. So again, it's how to find a way to make it easy and actually realistic, because it's not enough to say you have to do documentation, nobody's doing that. And that's the main goal on how to share stuff. And then the last group were just super experts with a lot of experience. So we collected some tools that could be useful to manage a Fab Lab. And so you can ask them in particular, does this S2 member that it's a WordPress plugin or Civic RN?
Oh, no, you were right. I'll shut up.
Okay. I mentioned here how it's working to get more information.
Yeah, we had very interesting discussions on this topic. One of it was when actually does this phase start? We discovered that it has a lot to do with external factors. For instance, the drying up of your funding, the change of your team, the fact that you have found out let's say the business model that is not working for you, or you want to change it because the mission is changing, organizational changes. So there can be a lot of reasons why you are in the point that you think, what shall we do now, and how are we going to approach and continue from here. So but in general, I think it's around 3 years that you're in a situation like this, or you can be in a situation like this. And you will start the growing pains or the uncomfortable situations. Let me see. Yeah, like I said, staffing is an issue. If a manager or an important member of your team is leaving, how do you replace him? When somebody is replaced, that also means that a lot of knowledge is gone, so that then you come to the important question of documentation. Have you documented? How do you document? How do you motivate other people to document? Those are the things that are sometimes a little bit the boring parts of the management of a Fab Lab, but those are very vital things in in running the lab.
Hey, so Raj is over there and I talked about sustainability and how to get corporations and community members and everyone involved in both creating and sustaining your Fab Lab, and then also how to support entrepreneurship. So one theme that kept coming up repeatedly was about culture. There are a wide variety of different Fab Labs you can have, and I think the business plans and sustainability models will differ widely if you're university funded, government funded, independent lab, if you have corporate funding. So this group is talking about, and I've heard this before, sharing best practices and maybe anonymized business plans that everyone can post up on fablabs.io or some Google server somewhere, so people can have a sense of how much does it cost to run one of these labs of a very different kind. In universities, the theme was artists seem to be the best at assimilating the Fab Lab culture and fitting in with that. One idea is a mandatory Fab Lab class, or maybe get the university to have mandatory tuition, like in terms of tuition you pay for having Fab Lab courses, and everyone needs to get some number of Fab Lab credits. Looking at the community again, companies are great to get involved in terms of funding, and so a lot of people want to attract companies, but at the same time, it's hard to convince particularly older, better established firms that open sourcing your ideas is a good thing, and that it's cool to share documentation rather than be totally secretive. Get the community to come into your lab, because there's these sort of airdropped Fab Labs. Like we were talking in Dubai, the government is funding a whole massive Fab Lab program, but how do you get folks to come in and walk in off the street and visit your Fab Lab? And then sometimes you have the opposite issue with grassroots Fab Labs, where you have a group of really passionate people and not particularly much money, and you have a hard time convincing people and creating an entrepreneurial culture, getting folks involved in coming to the lab and actually coming and funding the things that there are a million ideas and everyone wants to build stuff. So finally, we talked a lot about failure and how it's super important to promote a culture that failure is not necessarily a bad thing. It's actually really easy to get the average person, turn that person into an entrepreneur, or at least get them to think about inventing something and starting a company, maybe bringing in business folks later on if they're not particularly an entrepreneurial sort of person. And finally, we just kept coming up how important it is to share the spirit of the Fab Lab and really get everyone on board in terms of creating a sustainable lab. Everyone needs to understand what that Fab Lab is for and how it can integrate with the local community.